time is 6 p.m. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Walter,
Here.
Vice Mayor Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Hawkins,
Here.
Councilmember Wall is absent this evening. Councilmember Larson,
Here.
Councilmember Cortez,
Here.
Councilmember Hughes.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to begin with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, we are going to go ahead and open up our call to the public. I do not have any in front of me at this time. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak at this time? Without anybody coming forward, we are going to go ahead and close our call to the public. Need a motion to adjourn to Merrill Ranch Improvement District number 1.
Make a motion, we adjourn to Merrill Ranch Improvement District number 1.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item A is resolution number MRCFD 1141-19. This is discussion and possible action of a resolution of the Board of Directors of Merrill Ranch Community Facilities District number 1, Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the council. I'm here to ask council, here tonight to ask council to approve a $100,000 budget increase to both CFD number 1 and CFD number 2. The increase is necessary and will be used to cover legal fees and costs to defend the threatened claims against CFD 1 and 2. This time, I just want to see if you guys have any questions.
Okay.
Council has questions?
Board, do you have any questions? Board Member Hughes.
Would you explain what this increase is for?
The increase is for an increase in legal fees, and it's coming out of the administration fund, so the administration budget for both CFD 1 and 2. So they're separate. They're $100,000 increases for CFD number 1 and then CFD number 2. To answer your question, Councilmember Hughes or District Board Hughes, it's for administrative costs.
Are there any other questions? Okay, at this time, we need a motion.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution number MRCFD 1141-19.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Make a motion, we adjourn from Merrill Ranch Improvement District number 1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to adjourn to Merrill Ranch Improvement District number 2?
Make a motion to adjourn to Merrill Ranch Improvement District number 2.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. First item is discussion and possible action to approve Merrill Ranch Community Facility District number 2, July 1st, July 15th, and September 3rd, 2019 special meeting minutes. Board members, do you have any questions regarding those?
No.
With that, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion, we accept the Merrill Ranch Community Facilities District number 2, July 1st July 15th, September the 3rd, 2019, special meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The second item is resolution number MRCFD 238-19. This is discussion and possible action of a resolution of the Board of Directors of Merrill Ranch Community Facility District Number 2, Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2019-2020. Mr. Sanchez.
Again, this is, I just previously mentioned, staff seeking a budget increase of $100,000 to CFD number 2. Again, this budget adjustment, the funds would be used for legal fees against the threatened claims against the CFD number 2.
Board members, are there any questions? With that, we need a motion.
I make a motion that we adopt resolution number MRCFD 238-1.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to adjourn?
A motion that we adjourn from Merrill Ranch Improvement District Number 2.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10A is a proclamation declaring October 2019 as Light the Town Hall Purple for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And my computer's just a little bit slow, if you could bear with me. I do. My computer's not going to that slide. Thank you so much. I apologize. Usually, there's a yellow tab, and we can click on it, and it goes down, and it's not wanting to do that. So the proclamation for lighting the town hall purple for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas domestic violence is a pervasive problem that affects 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men in Arizona, and stands in direct opposition to our #1 priority of protecting Arizona families and communities. And whereas in Arizona, every 36 minutes, an officer responds to a domestic violent incident with a child present, and every 19 minutes, an arrest is made. These numbers are tragic because domestic violence impacts our families, our communities, our schools, our workplaces on a daily basis. And whereas this is an issue that affects all ages, races, religion, socioeconomic backgrounds, and education levels, and ending violence in the home, at work, and in the community requires vigilance and dedication from every part of our society. We all have a responsibility to know the signs, to help the victimized and the vulnerable to speak out against it whenever we can. And whereas during the month of October, victim advocate groups, centers, service workers, and many other organizations come together to connect those who work to end violence, to celebrate those who have survived and mourn those who have died because of domestic violence. And whereas on October 1st, 2019, Governor Ducey lit the state capitol purple as a symbol of Arizona's dedication to end domestic violence and launched the month-long Lighting Arizona Purple campaign. Governor Douglas A. Ducey encourages Arizonians to stand with him as we send the unwavering message that domestic violence can stop, and invites everyone to join in this effort by lighting their homes purple. And whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month is an opportunity to stand with domestic violence survivors, to celebrate the progress made in combating these crimes, and to recommit reducing domestic violence in their communities. Now therefore I, Tara Walter, Mayor of the Town of Florence, Arizona, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim and declare October 2019 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and in support of this worthy cause, we'll have the Town Hall lit purple throughout the month of October 2019, and do hereby call upon all citizens to light their homes purple in support of this effort.
Question?
Answer?
Maybe this is for the police chief. Do we do anything special for people of domestic violence? Do we have any programs or consulting or anything like that? Or does the county do that?
So as Chief is making his way over to the podium, one thing that I will share is Kent Volkmer with the county just did a program at the Windmill Winery a short while ago to raise awareness, to bring people together, and to bring those resources. Now, Chief Hughes made it to the podium, so I'm going to turn it over to him.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, we do participate with the county for different programs. We also have some programs that we put on as well for domestic violence. We have shelters that we take people to, and we also do special training for officers on what to look for when opportunities come up or when there's a thought that there could possibly be domestic violence. We do a lot of training in that area. That is one of the calls for service that's difficult to deal with because it is so personal and people are often afraid to report it. But we work real hard to find victims and then work with them. So we do a lot in that area.
Thank you. That was the right answer. I knew what you were going to say, but we do a lot, and a lot of people don't know about it. So,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Our second proclamation this evening is a proclamation declaring October 6th, 2019 through October 12th, 2019 as Fire Prevention Week. This is whereas through these three simple calls to action, this year's theme identifies basic but essential ways that people can reduce their risk to fire and be prepared in the event of one. Look for places that fire can start. Listen for the sound of the smoke alarm. Learn 2 ways out of each room. And whereas people take safety for granted and are not always aware of the risk of fire, and paying attention to your surroundings, looking for available exits in the event of a fire or another emergency, and taking the smoke alarm seriously if it sounds, can make potentially life-saving difference in a fire or other emergency situations. Whereas this year's Fire Prevention Week messages apply to virtually all locations, however, NFPA continues to focus on home fire safety, as the majority of U.S. fire deaths, which is 4 out of 5, occur at home each year. In fact, the fire death rate per 1,000 home fires reported to the fire department was 10% higher in 2016 than in 1980. And whereas significant progress has been made in preventing home fires from happening, these statistics show that there's still much more work to do when it comes to teaching people how to protect themselves in the event of one, and why advanced planning is so critically important. And whereas look, listen, learn, be aware, fire can happen anywhere, works to remind the public that fires can and still do happen, at home as well as in other locations, and that there are basic but vitally important steps that people can take to remain safe. And whereas the official sponsor of Fire Prevention Week for more than 90 years, the NFPA works with local fire departments throughout North America to promote the campaign in their communities and reaches out to the public directly to encourage everybody takes action to be prepared and be safe. Now therefore, I, Tara Walter, Mayor of the Town of Florence, Arizona, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim October 6th through 12th, 2019 as Fire Prevention Week, and do hereby call upon all citizens to remember, look, listen, and learn to reduce the risk of fires and be prepared in the event of one. Chief, would you like to say a few words about our Fire Prevention Week?
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. Yeah, the fire department works and is a member of the NFPA, so we work with them closely on our programming. And studies have shown that the most vulnerable populations are the very young and the very old when it comes to fire danger. And so we start there. We do education with the very young, stop, drop, and roll, safety education, things like that. And then with the elderly, we have programs where we do home inspections, install smoke detectors, and then just this past weekend, we had an open house open to the community to come and learn more about their fire department and the services we offer. So this whole fire prevention theme is really expanded into what's called community risk reduction now, which is much broader, and it includes car seats and a lot of other programs as well. But so yes, we're very active and continue to expand our programs in those areas.
Excellent. Thank you. Our next item is item C, and this is a presentation of the Florence Police Department Strategic 5-Year Plan.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council. What I have before you is our strategic plan for the next 5 years. This is a culmination of a lot of different things. We've listened to a lot of things that you've said, what you've indicated is important for the police department. We've listened to our citizens. We've called upon our experience, both internally and externally, as where we should be looking at over the next 5 years. And this is kind of a snapshot. The nice thing about this plan is it's general, it's fluid, it can be changed, it can be expanded upon, it can go in a number of different directions. But most of all, it gives us a platform to always remember where we came from and where we're going. So to me, we can always go back, no matter where we're at, we can go back and say, okay, we can stay on track by looking at our general plan. Okay, I'm gonna use this. Technology. Is it working? Well, what you see. Okay. What you see is basically our mission statement. That was done by our officers as well as our vision statement. This is really what we're going to be policing to. What's important is the pursuit of justice, public trust. Those things are invaluable, and without it, our police department's in trouble, and we have to have the public's trust, and we have to have your trust. So it's really important. And then our vision. What is it that we want to do? We want to have the highest ethical standards. Those are important for any police department, especially for us. I believe in them, and it's important that all of our officers maintain our mission and our vision. Next slide you're going to see is what we took into consideration for this 5-year plan. The community partnerships, technology, excuse me, community policing, what it's going to be our future needs. It's really important to look at that so that we know where we want to go and where we want to be in 5 years. This is real important, this slide, because it lays out 5 different objectives that really are at the heart of where we want to be. When you look at crime prevention, it is our primary mission. We want to do what we can to prevent crime, so that it's great to come in and solve a crime, but where we really want to be is to prevent it, to go out there and do the best and work with our community so that we can prevent crime from even happening. And if we can do that, we can keep our stats low and we can keep our community safe. Public service, our police services, it is important to make arrests. When I talk about community policing, it's not soft on crime, it's making arrests when arrests need to be made. It's being very proactive and making sure that we can stop crime before it happens, and when we do follow up, we make good arrests. We also want to look at our partnerships. We have a lot of partnerships with our internally, like with Public Works, with Parks and Rec. That's part of our internal partnerships. Regionally, with our other agencies, Pinal County Sheriff's Office, Coolidge, the others. That's why we go to the PCLEA meetings, Pinal County Law Enforcement, That's why we have a regional dispatch. We want to develop those partnerships with DPS and those kind of things. When we need help, we want to have those kind of partnerships. And when it comes for grants, we want to continue to develop and strengthen those. It's very important. Next thing you'll see is develop our personnel. I always tell people, listen, quality doesn't always equate to quantity. You can have a bigger department, but you really still need quality people. And we have worked very hard to develop quality people within the Florence Police Department. I look at the hires that we've made, the new officers. There are a great lot of people there. The people who have been there years, they're quality and they work hard to make us a safe community. And in the 5-year plan, we want to continue to develop them, to send them to Northwest Staff and Command, the FBI Academy, to get them to the schools that they need so that we have great firearms instructors, so that we can continue to build upon the platform that we have. Next, you'll see our infrastructure. We want to focus on our plans. We have a great vehicle replacement program. Our equipment has really grown exponentially. When I got here, we had like 5 computers. Now every officer has their own computer. Every officer has a state-of-the-art radio. A lot of that's been through grants, a lot of hard work. But we want to continue to focus on and use our money wisely in our budget. It's real important over the next 5 years because money's always short and you want to stretch it, and we want to utilize what we have to the best of our ability. You know, we look at some of the things we do, like I still think a lot of people don't realize what all our police department does. When you look at the risk assessment program, we do both business and residential surveys and help people look at, do you have the right lighting? Do you have the right kind of robbery suppression plan? It's amazing how many businesses you talk to over the years and they'll say, gosh, I don't know how I got burglarized. We lock up every night, and you ask them, where do you put your money? Oh, we put it in the same place we have for years. Have you changed the keys out? No, we haven't done any of that. We'll go out and we'll help them look at security plans for both residential and businesses. We do a lot of that. Crime-free multi-housing, we have a lot of apartment complexes. We will work with them to make sure that we can keep crime down to a minimum by we'll look over their leases and help them come up with good leases and ones that will prevent crime. Neighborhood Watch, we're working hard to get Neighborhood Watch in both the core and also in the Anthem area. We do a lot of educational programs. We not only do GREAT, which educates the kids on drugs, but we also teach an ethics program, helping the kids make good decisions. If you can help a kid make a good decision, perhaps you won't have to teach them so much on drugs. So there's a lot of good things, and again, it goes back with partnerships with the school districts. They allow us in. Florence has us come in, and we do a lot there. So we're working hard, and those are the kind of things you want to continue to do over the next several years. Our beat structure, that's another one that doesn't change. Our officers are in the same area for a year. They know where the high crime areas are. They know who creates problems, and they know where to spend their time. So it really works well, and it's something that we'll continue to do. And it does help communication between our citizens when they know when you know the officer that works your area day in and day out, and you know who to call. I tell them they're your private officer. You can call them anytime. That's why they have extensions, and every officer has an email address that you want to know who works your area. I tell them, call them up, send them an email. They'll stop by. I want it to be somewhere where people realize they have personal officers, I call it. So this is another thing that I think is very important that we continue over the next 5 years. Cooperative programs, you'll see again, the graffiti abatement program that we just did with Pinal County, the TLO, terror and liaison officers. Those are some of the things that we're working with our partnership. We'll be doing game night this Halloween again. We're hoping that we'll get a lot of participation. Those are the kind of things that you want to continue in the plan and not deviate from. Future needs. As you can see there, I mentioned before, we have a great replacement program. It's taken a number of years, but the equipment that we have for Florence PD has really come up and come a long ways. And when you look at the radios, we've got a lot of new radios through grants. Right now, we'll have the 700, 800 megahertz radios that we can talk to DPS and anybody in the county on our radio system. What we're looking at is, when I say tablet replacement program, that's our MDCs, our mobile data computers. That's an ongoing program, but we've almost changed them out completely, and that's a lot has to do with your help and grants. Our TASER program, they were outdated. We've almost completed that. And again, we'll continue to look at where are we going to be in the future for a substation along. We'll check with fire and continue to look at where there's a fire station. We'll try and put a substation so that people have access to the local police department. Those are the kind of things we want to look at for the future. And again, some of the technology, electronic citations, they'll be able to do it electronically. They'll be able to issue the citation to a person, and that citation will automatically go all the way to the court system. What that really does is cut down on having to be scanned. It takes away mistakes that the officers make in writing. There's a whole lot of good things as to why that's a good, and it's faster so we can write more tickets. I didn't say that, but it is. The Laserfish program, when I got here, our reports were back to 1994. We're moving forward and getting them converted onto the Laserfish system, and you're all familiar with the Everbridge system, the notification. Those are the kind of technology that we're going to be continuing to look at. Right now, most people don't realize that we have a CommStat and a crime mat. When you talk about transparency, you can go on the department's website and you can put in your address and you can look at crime in your area for the past 24 hours, the past 30 days, the past 6 months, or the past year. If you want to look at what's going on throughout the whole community, it's all there and it's updated every day at 4 o'clock in the morning. Those are the kind of things that we want people to know what's going on in their neighborhood. We expect them to be the eyes and the ears. CommStat, I sit down on a bi-weekly basis with our sergeants and we talk about what are the problems, what can we do to alleviate them. Those are the kind of things that you really want to continue on in your plan for the next 5 years. Accreditation. We're working hard to get all of our dispatchers accredited through the APCO, and we just started the process through the Arizona Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, the state program, to make sure that our entire department is an accredited state agency. It'll take several years, but it'll be well worth it in the end. Our policies and procedures will be up to date, and there'll be model policies based on the best practices across the country. Excuse me. And I kind of wanted to sum it up here. Our pledge is to continue working hard to build partnerships and to remain one of the safest communities. Most of all, this is from Sir Robert Peel, and I really believe it's a quote that really says it all. The police are the public, and the public are the police. The police being the only members that are of the public who are paid full-time for duties which is incumbent upon every citizen. I try and remind the people of Florence that they too play a part in the safety, and that's why we work hard to build community partnerships, because it is important that they have trust and confidence in their police department, and we've built relationships so there's no fear of calling the Florence Police Department. We get a lot of compliments about how friendly and responsive, and I think it's important that we continue that. That's something that we need to work on continually, and it's part of the plan, so we never forget that we are part of the community. So with that, I know it was quick, but I just wanted to kind of sum things up, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Well, that was an excellent presentation, and the accolades show in the amount of recognitions and awards the town has received, especially over the past year in regards to being the safest community. Council members, do you have any questions regarding the presentation, or questions, answers?
I have a comment. So I don't have any questions. I just wanted to thank you for all your hard work and efforts that you put into this town to make us safe and to give our citizens a positive look at what the police department can do for a community. I know that you're retiring and you're going to be missed, and I wish you'd change your mind, because filling your position, I think, is going to be a challenge, and hopefully everybody understands how important your position is, and that we all need to have input and work together to make sure the right new chief is hired. So it's going to be some big shoes to fill, and I appreciate you laying out for the next person what the vision of our town and our citizens is on how our police department should be and how they should act and how they should be viewed by the public. So thank you.
Thank you. You're going to make me get emotional. I don't want to get emotional.
Oh, someone give him a tissue.
I'll get teary-eyed. It's been a great opportunity, and I'm really proud of the Florence Police Department, and I can't thank you enough for just giving me the opportunity to be the chief of police for the town of Florence. Thank you.
We weren't done with you yet, though, Chief Hughes. We weren't done with you yet.
Nice try.
You tried.
That was real cute.
Very sweet. I'd like to end on that note, but I have questions. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So I appreciate you bringing up the text to 911. I know that meeting with the Youth Commission, that they've brought that up, is something that they were very interested in. Can you tell me more about where we're at on that? What's the prospect of how long that will take? Things like that?
I'm sorry, on what?
The text to 911?
Oh, we're ready on our end. We're waiting with the state to give us the go-ahead. There's some technical issues that they have to work on, but all our people have been trained, and when they give us the go-ahead, we will do an educational process. That's one of the things we're excited about, being able to text, and that's kind of the next thing in policing, is being able to, because a lot of times someone might not be able to talk, but they can text, so we're excited about that. I look for that to happen in the next several months.
Okay, so we're just waiting on the state's end on that?
Yes.
Then. All right, fantastic. Another thing that I know, especially, it seems like every time there's a school shooting that this comes up, but school resource officers, I didn't see it touched on really in here, and I apologize if I missed it, but can you elaborate on what we're currently doing or what the options might be in the future?
What we do is, while I don't have an officer dedicated to the high school, our beat officers go in each and every day and touch base with the different schools like Florence K through 8, Anthem K through 8, and our Florence High School. We are working with the Florence School District. They're going to do an override request and actually ask for SROs.
Yeah, I think it's
And-
important that they're not just in Florence Unified. I think that also you need to include the charter schools as well.
Oh,
As we
absolutely.
continue to grow, especially, I do see added value in that, and so I'd hope that they'd be able to fund that, or we could, ways where we'd be able to touch base with the schools more
Yes.
often.
And we do work with ALA
Yeah.
and attend there and are available to them. So it's all schools. So we,
Okay.
all kids are all kids, so it doesn't make any difference to us whether it's private or public. What's
Absolutely.
important is their safety. So we do work really hard and well with them, so.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, obviously, all of Florence is taken care of, and protecting our kids is my #1 priority as well. So I just wanted to see if there was, what we were doing, programming for that. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And again, you are so valued. We appreciate it. Giant shoes to fill. I echo those same things. I didn't say it so eloquently, but yeah.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. I had 2 questions,
Okay.
but I wanted to wait until the end. All right, so you touched a little bit on with the youth education program. Now, I know from working in a school that's located in the county, Mark Lamb came up with a really neat program. It was a diversion program where when a child makes not the smartest choice, they have an opportunity to get education, training, classes, and then give back in regards to community service. But I've never sat down and asked if we have something like that in our town that we could share.
We've actually been asked to do, if kids could do community service, and we have had several come in and do community service with the police department. We just haven't had a big call for it, but it is available. We can certainly do that. And we'd love to have, more kids come in. In fact, one of the things that we've looked at is doing our Citizens Academy for kids. And if we can get the participation, we'd love to do that. And we'll do more of them. We try and do it twice a year, but if there was more interest, I would do it quarterly. That's one of the things that is near and dear, is doing something with the kids. It's great to have them do a Citizens Academy or come in and spend time. Gunnar was our last kid that came in and worked. It was awesome to have him there 3 or 4 days a week, and the more, I'd love it. And I think that's something that in the future we can expand on.
Right, with the Citizens Academy and tying that in with kids, I think that would be a great connection back to our Florence Teen Council, even our youth advisory. So, something to take back. My other question was about the regional dispatch. Talk to me about what you're envisioning with that.
Well, we have the room, and I've talked to several other communities, including Coolidge and Eloy, from time to time about, could we do a regional dispatch? The distance is no longer the issue. We have the equipment, we have the space. What's been the holdup is we have different records management systems. Now, at some point, there still is some communication with the county itself, with Pinal County. And as things change for them, I do think sometime in the future there will be could be even a county-wide regional dispatch center. Casa Grande's too big, but some of the other agencies like Coolidge, ourselves, Florence, Eloy, the county, we could do a regional center where we could dispatch for those communities and fire. Right now, we dispatch for Superior Fire. We're available to do more. The other thing we're talking to them about is simply being a backup for each other. So if something happened with the county, if they had a smoke problem or a fire in their area, we could do their system. Right now, they're the backup for us, and we can do things for them. So we're continually discussing that and talking about it. And if things change and the costs go down, I could see that. There is some cost savings right now. Right now, it's just been the records management system. They have something like New World, and we have Spillman. So there's a cost associated with that for us to get together. But the one good thing is we're open to it, and we continually are in the talks so that if some of the other agencies are open or become open, we can make that happen.
That's excellent. I really do appreciate your presentation and, echoing the same sentiments that you do have some pretty big shoes to fill. And I'm certain that some people that are applying have probably tuned in to watch this presentation this evening and to glean, what to carry forward and what to keep moving in our community. I also am aware, can I make that announcement about the 24th? Okay. So on October 24th for our community, we're going to have a meet and greet with the final selection of the police chief candidates. Harold's in the audience from the Windmill Winery, and we have our food truck Thursday that evening. So during that event, the finalists will be in town. They'll have an opportunity to meet the community if you have any questions for them. They'll have about 5 minutes to talk a little bit about themselves, and then you can share feedback as a community member with any of us, with town manager, with Chief Hughes, so that way it all gets filtered back. We want as many people involved as possible.
I agree.
And I wanted to ask permission before I, moved ahead with that announcement. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our Our next agenda item is our longest of the evening. Ready? It's the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda, unless a council member or member of the public objects at the time that agenda item is called. Item A is authorization to upfit 3 police Tahoes by utilizing the MHQ of Arizona Cooperative Contract, ADPS 15-091457, in an amount not to exceed $59,198.82. Item B is the approval of the acceptance of the improvements of the warranty period for Unit 38, Unit 56A, Unit 52, Unit 3, Unit 5, and Unit 7 of Anthem at Merrill Ranch subdivision. Item C is authorization to contract with Capital Pump and Equipment LLC to provide emergency pump rental services for the Public Works Department, Water and Wastewater Divisions in an amount not to exceed $75,000. Acceptance of the FFY 2019 Homeland Security Grant Program Subrecipient Agreement 190305-01 from the Arizona Department of Homeland Security in the amount of $43,506 for the Florence Public Safety Interoperable Communications Project. Item E is approval of Post and Butte Preserve as the formal name of Post and Butte. Item F is the approval of the reappointment of Lisa Garcia to serve as the citizen representative on the Town of Florence Public Safety Personnel Retirement System, Police and Fire Local Boards for a term of 4 years. Item G is authorization for the town manager to enter into a third-party agreement with Pinal County and Brown and Associates to provide a building plan review services for the new Pinal County Attorney's Building and the new Pinal County Development Services Building. Item H is authorization to sell 1 set of turnouts at current fair market value to Timber Mesa Fire and Medical District to accompany the employee that they were purchased for, who has accepted a position with the Timber Mesa Fire. Item I is authorization to dispose of a 1997 Chevy Silverado and Payne air conditioning unit that are no longer needed and have outlived their useful life. Item J is to authorize an increase of the not-to-exceed amount for Fester and Chapman's PLLC annual audit services by $10,150 to $55,800. Approval, item K, approval of accepting the register of the demands ending August 31st, 2019 in an amount not to exceed $3,409,740.61. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your consent agenda. Is there any member of the board or the public that would like any item removed at this time?
I like item D removed. I'd like to have item D removed.
I would like to have H removed.
I'd like to have J removed.
Okay. With that, I need a motion to remove or approve the consent agenda, removing items D, H, and J. With that, I need a second.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll start with item D, Vice Mayor Anderson.
Just a concern there. We are only getting, half what we asked for? Is that going to impact our police department?
Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, the amount that we are receiving on this particular grant is sufficient to complete the purchase of all of the portable radios that the police department needs to upgrade.
Okay.
So between this grant and the one we recently received from the Gila River Indian community, that gave them the ability to purchase all of the portable radios that they need.
Okay, thank you.
Item H, Councilmember Hughes.
I'm curious that this is a uniform or set of turnouts for a employee that has left. Is that a employee that just left?
Would have to, Chief Strayer, is the employee still employed here, or they leave already? So he's in the process of leaving.
Okay. And has he used this turnout, has he used it in service currently?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilmember Hughes, yes, he's used these turnouts for 3 years. They have a 10-year life, but they're custom fit turnouts. So if we're actually benefiting by this by getting almost full value back so we can buy a new set for whoever replaces this person.
I just didn't know what the time was from when they got it. I didn't know if it was a brand new, and that's why when it said salvage value, that's why I wanted some explanation. Thank you.
That's a really creative item.
Yeah.
So good job on that.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
typically, we approve the consent agenda, motion second, and a vote on the consent agenda, then we move on to each item, and then we have a motion on each item. We've kind of not followed that protocol tonight, so
I appreciate
if
that.
we could go back and have a motion, a second, and a vote on the consent agenda minus those items. You guys voted, but we didn't hear a second.
I did that.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
We didn't hear a second.
Yeah, he didn't. I didn't hear one either.
I thought that we did. I thought I had a motion, a second, and an all in favor. But we can do it again.
But we might as well do it again because none of us three heard a second.
I remember saying it. Ready? I'm going to do it again.
And then we'll have to vote on each of these individual items, so we'll do D first, then H, then J.
Just as a housekeeping note then, we've never done that before. When we've removed items from the consent agenda, we've approved and then moved on to the items, but we've never individually set an item, then approved it, then moved on. We've always just went right down the line and then, yeah.
I disagree. We typically vote on each item that's pulled just like they're in the regular agenda.
Guess I'm just confused today.
All right, ready? We're going to back up for a moment. I know this first part happened, but we're going to do it again and laugh at the tape when we watch it. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, removing items D, H, and J.
I motion that we approve the consent agenda with the removal of items D, H, and J.
And a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We talk about item number D.
I make a motion that we approve item D.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We talk about item number H.
I make a motion that we approve item number H.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to item J, Councilmember Cortez.
I was just looking for an explanation of why we're going from $10,150 to $55,800.
Okay, Councilmember Cordes. So the reason why we're seeking a $10,150 increase is there's several things that happened this audit year. One of them is that we exceeded our federal, so our expenditures for federal grants. So the expenditure limit is $750,000. So anytime you go over that amount, there's additional audit services that are needed. So that's where $4,500 comes from of that $10,000. Another thing is that every 3 years, the court needs to be audited per this MAS standard. So the last time that we had a court audit was in 2016. So it's 2019. So it's required that we have an audit. And then the additional $2,000 is for the CFDs. So the last time that this was brought to you, to council, on the RCA, it said that the CFDs would half of the increase, I think it was 15,000, would go to CFD. The districts would split the cost. So by saying that, it's kind of implied that they were going to be audited separately. Well, they were audited, but what I'm seeking is more transparency. I want the auditors to focus on these things separately. So there's an additional increase of $2,000. So here they are testing both, but separately.
Okay, thank you. I motion that we approve item J.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 12 under new business is first A, discussion, approval, disapproval of appointing Isabella Poole to a 2-year term on the Florence Youth Commission with a term to expire October 31st, 2021. Mr. Brian Hughes.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, as you know, we had a couple of resignations a few months back by 2 of our youth commission members. We've been actively recruiting to fill those vacancies, and we actually have an applicant here, Ms. Poole, that meets all of the criteria, and we are seeking her appointment so we can start meeting again with the youth commission. So that's all I have to say on that, so thank you.
Thank you. Without any further questions, can we have a motion?
I make a motion that we appoint Isabella Poole to a 2-year term on the Florence Youth Commission with the term to expire October 31st, 2021.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item B is resolution number 1716-19. This is a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, ordering the proposed street lighting improvements described in resolution number 1715-19, forming the Town of Florence, Arizona Anthem at Merrill Ranch Street Light Improvement District number 4 to proceed. Ms. Lisa Garcia.
Mayor and members of council, on August 19th, the staff did bring resolution number 171519, which was the notice of intent to form a streetlight improvement district titled Merrill Ranch Community Facility Streetlight Improvement District number 4. Since that time, staff did work with Pulte, and we were able to provide the necessary notices on the property within the parameters every 250 feet. And so signs were placed, advertisements were placed, seeking if anyone had a reason why the town of Florence should not form this district. We did receive 0 amount of communications from the property owners within that time. So now what the town of Florence is bringing is we're bringing forward a resolution that would form Streetlight Improvement District number 4. It would require the recordation of petitions, and it would record both the notice of intent and the formation resolution. Still at this time, until we go through the budgetary process of assessing the property, SLID number 4 would not create or collect taxes until the next budget cycle. And so it will still be until that time, until we go through and we give a notification, have a public hearing, and let the public know how much we will collect for that SLID to have the energy we will not be charging. And as you know, pursuant to statutes, the town of Florence would be able to charge up to $1.20 per $100 of taxable valuation. At this time, the town of Florence only collects for 1 SLID, that's SLID number 3, and we collect at the rate of 12 cents. Well, it's actually 0.1207 cents per $100 of assessed evaluation. And so at this time, it's up to the council if they would like to proceed with adoption of the SLID. Staff will be presenting a work session with the council on both SLID's policies and the ordinances in November for council's consideration. We've had several discussions about council's thoughts for SLIDs, so we want to make sure we bring back both the policy and the ordinance so we can continue those discussions and make sure both our ordinances that are in place and our policies meet council's expectations.
Thank you. Any questions?
Is that $1.28 or whatever you said per $100 or $100,000 of valuation?
So the state law provides for that a district shall not exceed $1.20 per $100 of taxable valuation thereof. But it's also contingent upon how much the actual costs are for services, for lighting the lights and providing the services necessary, operation and maintenance of the street lights.
Thank you.
And I'll remind you that slid number 1 and slid number 2 are not charged at this time because when the town of Florence first formed slid 1 and 2, they did collect at the state law maximum amount rate. So there still remains money on file with the town of Florence to continue providing taxes. And until the time to where we need to go back in and assess, we will continue to draw down those accounts.
Vice Mayor Anderson?
It's my understanding this is just setting up the slid. We're not authorizing any payment or any money tonight.
No, sir, that takes place during the budget process.
And when we have our work session, we'll talk about all the slids.
When we have the work session, we'll talk about the policy that outlines slids. We also we will talk about the code that also states that all new development will have a streetlight improvement district to make sure both the policy and the ordinances are in line with council's vision for the town of Florence.
Thank you.
Just to piggyback on that comment, we are going to have like an open discussion about all issues that we have regarding slids. It's not going to be narrowed down to just those 2 issues, correct?
No, we're going to sit down in a work session and we're going to talk about streetlight improvement districts and any questions that the council has. So everything will be on the table.
Thank you so much.
All right, if there's no further questions or comments, with that, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion, we accept resolution number 1716-19.
I second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item C is Resolution 1718-19. This is discussion, approval, disapproval of a resolution of the Town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona, declaring its intention to establish a streetlight improvement district to purchase energy for lighting the public streets and parks in the area within the corporate limits of the Town of Florence, Arizona, described on Exhibit A. Attached hereto, declaring such improvements to be more than local or ordinary public benefit, and that the expenses thereof be paid for by the levy and collection of the ad valorem taxes upon the assessed valuation of all real and personal property in a certain district to be known as the Town of Florence, Arizona, Anthem at Merrill Ranch, Streetlight Improvement District, Number 5, and ordering that such improvements be provided for under the provisions of Section 48-572, the Arizona Revised Statutes. Ms. Lisa Garcia?
Madam Mayor, members of council, this is actually a resolution for a unanimous petition. The petition for slid number 4 that we just discussed was a majority petition. That's why we were required to give notice in the paper and to properly post the sites. The laws changed just slightly when you move towards a unanimous petition. That means that the council can, without posting in the paper and without posting the notices on the site, proceed today with establishing slid number 5. That is because the petitions has been signed off by the developer, who is the single property owner within the district.
Are there any questions from council regarding this agenda item? With that, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 1718-19.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item D is discussion, approval, disapproval to enter into an agreement for the professional services with D2 Surveying Services utilizing district selection allowed under Arizona law, statute title 34, section 103, in an amount not to exceed $100,000. Mr. Chris Salas.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. In front of you on the staff report is the entire description of the overall project. I'm not sure I want to go into that level of detail, but generally speaking, we were tasked this year to do a capacity analysis for our entire sewer system. This has been something that the town needs to do in order to determine if improvements are needed to facilitate what we consider that Territory Square development, North End Framework Study development. And so we need to be able to determine how much trunk line capacity we currently have. As part of that project, there is a survey component as well as a GIS component. And so we put out a request for price task assignment, and during that, the overall most qualified bidder was Westland. Unfortunately, they did not have enough capacity in their current contract. We already had asked council previously to approve an additional amount for Westland, and even with that, we've still run out of capacity. The good news is Westland has agreed to allow us to directly work with their sub, saving us, I believe in the staff report, just under $5,000. $4,520. So the benefit is that we get to work directly with, and we've done work with D2 previously. Again, they're one of a couple of survey firms that have a lot of experience in the problems of Florence and Coolidge area. So they're someone we would normally use, and they're someone who our vendors use as well as far as our on-call engineers. 3 of our 3 on-call engineers use them on the utility side. So this agreement is to do all the surveying of the manholes, and they will submit this in a format. I believe the format we're using for all this information is the City of Chandler's format, and that will go into our actual GIS system too. So we're going to get a lot of information as part of this project. So one could look at it, just the survey component serves the town very well because we don't have this information in our GIS currently. And as you're aware, we've had ADEQ now going through our collection systems. So we will have to become more sophisticated over time as to what we report to ADEQ. And we are developing our own O&M manual, as I've spoken to previously. And this will be part of, again, a holistic approach to being able to do O&M on our manholes.
All right. Are there any questions regarding this?
I have a question. Will this survey include all the existing sewer lines in town?
It will be for the manholes, yes.
Just the
I think we have 511 manholes that are town-owned facilities, and that will include all manholes and cleanouts. I think we have 46 cleanouts in the town of Florence as well, so that will be giving us hard shots on what we are looking at, the invert of all of the pipes that terminate into the manhole.
I guess I don't understand. The lines that terminate at the manholes, do we have those all mapped? Do we know where all the sewer lines in town are?
We have them all mapped, but to sit there and tell you with a straight face we know where they all are at, absolutely not. I mean, again, GIS is number 1, is a pretty picture, and it is not typically survey grade. The second component, that there's a lot of errors in our GIS system, and that's not blaming anybody in the GIS system. That is a multitude of errors over the years. So this will allow us, in theory, to narrow that down, because the termination between 2 manholes is the pipe. Yes. Invert to invert. So now, in theory, pipes don't do this. Pipes are a straight line, and so now we should know, in theory, exactly where a piece of pipe is.
In theory.
I will still say in theory, yes, because I've seen some pretty weird things in Florence. So, I don't know.
Thank you.
Well, and I know I did a little bit of research after, reading through the packet and seeing that the company was also local. So I just want to give that as a shout out as well. It's always great when we can have quality and local services provided in our area.
Yeah. There's only 2 firms that do a lot of work in the area of, again, Coolidge and Florence with our unique horizontal issues. And so we prefer to use those 2 companies, and they are also have been found over the years to provide very good flat rates on the survey. So like I said, we've been using D2 and a different firm extensively for my time and before my time. So it's nothing new. The town's used them. We just want to use them on this particular project, and it exceeds our threshold, obviously, the manager's authority. So we're in front of council asking for this to be approved.
Thank you. Any other questions? With that, we need a motion.
I motion that we approve to enter into an agreement for professional services with D2 Surveying Services utilizing direct selection allowed under Arizona law statute Title 34, Section 103, an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. Now, the next item is discussion approval, disapproval to purchase InstaValve 250 Patriot insertion valves from HydroStop in an amount not to exceed $100,000. Mr. Chrysalis.
Approximately 3 years ago, at that time, council approved for the purchase of the valve insertion tools, which was approximately $90,000. We bought 2 different pieces of equipment to allow us to insert valves and to essentially be able to do that on live lines. With that, the town did a lot of research before purchasing that piece of equipment. It's a piece of equipment that several of the cities in the valley use, but the issue with purchasing this tool was how the valve actually works and how it works over the long term as far as reliability. Some people are concerned about when you use this type of technology that the valve is not as robust as a normal cut-in valve. And so the decision was made to use this piece of equipment, and with this piece of equipment now, you have to buy their valves. And so again, we would like to purchase new valves for this coming year for some of our new projects. This amount is not what we will necessarily spend. We may spend a quarter of that depending on what it is, and we may spend a half of it or 3/4 on depending on what it is. We just, again, this is an action item for us to be prepared, to be able to be ready and not have to be reactionary when we need the valves. So we would like to have some of these valves in stock for our projects as well as when things break. But yes, buying that tool locked us into this brand. That's not a bad thing. It just so happens that when you buy this piece of equipment, you have to use their valves.
Understood. Any additional questions?
Question on these valves. If the picture that I'm looking at, if I'm interpreting it correctly, this valve fits around the existing pipe?
Yes, sir.
So-
It is meant to be used on essentially a hot line. Oftentimes, it is pretty impossible. Like, let's pick Glendale Avenue in the city of Phoenix. When I did a project there, you cannot shut down an entire Glendale Avenue to do a complete excavation, shut water off, cut the pipe, and then install a T. That would take way too long. So you insert a valve with a T. So this allows us a lot of flexibility.
Thank you.
With that, we need a motion.
I motion, go ahead.
Yeah. I make a motion that we purchase the InstaValve 250 Patriot insertion valves from HydroStop in an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item F is discussion approval, disapproval to enter into a professional services agreement with Swan Architects Incorporated. This is for an amount not to exceed $100,000. Mr. Chrysalis, talk to us about Ruggles.
Thank you.
I gotta liven it up a little, come on.
Yeah. We recently purchased, with the council's approval, 2 pieces of property just east of the Public Works Yard. In order to come up with a design, obviously, we're going to need the services of an architect. And as well as the town plans to fully comply with all the requirements and do a site plan through our own Larry Harmer and the Community Development Services Department. And so we would need an architect to develop site plan renderings. And so this person will be responsible for a long list of things as far as the schematic design, the design development, construction documents, bidding. The whole package, I believe, is about $64,400. We've asked for a little bit additional, assuming there may be changes along the way. This project obviously has very little scope to it as far as we have an idea of a steel building for the water department's water barn, and we have a block wall that we would like to mimic from the police department's evidence building. Other than those two kind of key pieces, everything else we need to figure out, including the programming. So programming is an important component, and that's kind of what you pay your architect largely for, is to determine your kind of needs. It's a little bit easier when you have a professionals in a lot of these types of buildings to figure out what your needs will be as far as office space, warehouse space, meeting rooms, and then all your code compliance. So in order to make our building official and our fire marshal happy, we need to do a complete building safety code analysis. So we'll have to, issue that report as well. So that will be for that. And for the other parcel, again, yet to be determined, is the recycling component that will be moved away from Heritage Park.
And we've worked with Swan Architects before, and again, they're a great company to work with, and we're looking forward to what you're bringing into the area for that improvement. Any additional questions? With that, we need a motion. You guys are slow on emotions tonight.
I think we're all just waiting for each other. I motion that we enter into a professional service agreement with Swan Architects, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. And I mean that so respectfully, too.
I'm older now, so I'm moving slow.
Yes, council member just celebrated a birthday yesterday. All right, our next item is our manager's report. Thank you, Mr. Salas, for all of the amazing information this evening. Mr. Billingsley.
Madam Mayor, members of council, I'm going to be exceptionally brief on the written manager's report because we have some other issues that are pressing and important. Our parks team, again, reinforced the need to put a call out to volunteers for the powwow program. We still need folks to reach out from the community and assist with respect to that program. We're going to need a lot of volunteers. And from what I understand, the volunteers are not coming in quickly. So anything that you can do, or those folks that are watching on TV, please contact the Parks Department, John or Brian, and volunteer to assist with the powwow program. In terms of partnerships and relationships, earlier on this agenda, Council approved the ability for staff to move forward with an outside reviewer to assist us with the review on the two very large county buildings that are upcoming in the near future. Those will be really neat projects in our community, and we're very excited. From the infrastructure standpoint, the Upper Clarifier rebuild project has been completed at the North Wastewater Treatment Plant. As you've probably seen, the manhole rehabilitation project is now complete. That's the project that has kept traffic control out on a number of our roads for the last couple of months, trying to get that project completed. And our downtown 12-inch water loop projects, and we've done several, WU1, W2, W3, W3A, WU3B. Those projects are nearing completion. Regarding additional items, first off, I want to give a shout out to everyone that participates in the Florence CERT program. Of course, that includes Vice Mayor John Anderson. I received the following letter that I'm going to read into the record from the Eloy Fire District. I would like to take a moment and send our sincere thanks to you and your CERT team for their assistance Tuesday during a power outage in Eloy. When they showed up on the scene, they immediately made contact with us and got organized and developed a plan of action. They were very friendly and did a good job of interacting with our citizens. Florence should be proud of their new CERT team. They are well-trained and very helpful. It was a joy having them here. Once again, pass along our gratitude, and be sure to thank your town council and town manager. That came from Kelly Weddle, Fire Chief from the Eloy Fire District. So I thought that that was a really neat letter to come in, especially since it pertained to the new CERT team. Next, I received some wonderful news last week, and that is a grant award of $17,223 dollars that will fund 15 ballistic vests and helmets for our police department. And I got this through Ms. Evans, and I believe, Ms. Evans, this came from the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Grant. It's for fire. Very good. Thank you very much. Lastly, there's a special recognition tonight that I would like to make. In our presence this evening, we have an individual that's been with the town for over 7 years, and during that 7 years has really made an impact on the professionalism and the quality of our human resources program at the town of Florence. Of course, that's Mr. Scott Barber. I wanted to mention some of the key accomplishments that Scott has provided to the town of Florence over that 7 years. He rewrote the town personnel policies, implemented a new employee annual performance evaluation process, established the town safety committee, wrote and implemented a new risk management manual, initiated the annual boards and commissions appreciation dinner, handled the employee classification and compensation update last year, managed our employee benefit program, handled our last town manager recruitment, represented the town on the municipal insurance pool board of trustees for several years, served on the League of Cities and Towns Public Safety Pension Task Force, and currently serves as the president of the Central Arizona Human Resource Management Association, and has also spent a number of years on the board of directors for the Pinal County Federal Credit Union. So with that, would you join me in a round of applause for Mr. Barber, and I'm hoping that he'll step forward and give us some words.
I think what he failed to say was that I'm being recognized because this is my last week with the town of Florence. And that has indeed been my privilege to serve as your Human Resource Director for the last 7 years. It's been an interesting time and times of many challenges that have come up along the way. Developed some great relationships and some friendships, have an outstanding group of department directors that we've been able to work with over that period of time. And like anything else, nothing is done by any one particular person. And I think you should all be proud, we should all be proud that we have a great employee group, men and women who are engaged in doing the things that have to be done every day to take care of the services that are offered by the town of Florence. And it's what we do, we provide services, and that's why around 85% or so of our budget is dedicated to personnel costs, because it's the police department, the fire department, public works, street maintenance, sewer, water, administration, et cetera, because that is what we do. And it's also been my delight since I've been working here, I came to work under an organizational structure that I reported directly to the deputy town manager, and it stayed that way over my 7 years. And I can assure you that I could not have asked for a better direct supervisor than Lisa Garcia has been for me over that 7-year period. And also, we're a two-person HR department, and Virgie Felix is my HR coordinator. She was here when I arrived, and I can tell you she is an outstanding employee, is a trusted and reliable source of information for our employees day in and day out. And I'm very proud and pleased to have been able to have her as my partner, really in the HR department over the last 7 years. So wish you well. Obviously, there's things that happen along the way. The police chief recruitment has been underway and tried as best I could to assist in guiding that. And so the other couple of things that are kind of queued up and ready to go. But I certainly wish all of them the best for the town of Florence and you all as our elected officials. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's all I had, ma'am.
Excellent. So could you also share with council our process currently in regards to Director Barber's position, as well as who will hold the reign while we're pursuing that?
Very good. Mr. Barber's last day is Thursday of this week. And of course, His assistant will be stepping in to that role starting Friday this week. And we have a current advertisement out on the street and hoping that we can fill that as soon as possible and get a qualified individual to replace.
Director Barber, many employees speak highly of you. You have done a lot of wonderful things for our community and our employees. So I do wish you the best with whatever endeavors you have in your future. I also want to say with confidence that Virgie is an valuable employee as well. So I have full confidence that she'll be able to take care of our employees in our town. So thank you for making sure that that's seamless. All right, we have our department reports next. Is there any member of council that has any questions for our department head reports?
I do.
Yes, Councilmember Hughes.
Community development. Hi, Larry. I was wondering if you could give me an update on the code violations? And do you have a year-to-date on those? I know you've been breaking them out since August.
Yes, Mayor, Council, Councilmember Hughes. I worked with our code compliance officer earlier today to try to break down the numbers, so these are pretty close, probably within 5%. But year-to-date, we've issued about 123 verbal notices. The verbals don't usually manifest themselves into a written complaint because they're the easy ones, get taken care of and never make it onto the books per se as far as actual written notices. So that's a good one. Written notices to date, about 242. Of those, 105 have been fully abated. The rest are in various stages of either their 30-day plus 30-day notification process. In some cases, we try to work as closely as we can with property owners. If there's not an immediate life safety issue concerned in the abatement, then we'll work with them on time periods and extensions as is appropriate. Sometimes it's a matter of they're just waiting for the town loader truck to be able to access it to haul stuff away or to clean up their properties, a number of different things. And there's currently 14 of the total cases being prepared to go to the town attorney for further process.
Okay. Now, with that, is the town, are they using the nuisance chapter 9319 or 9303 for removal on generally, or have they done any of the clean and lean on any of the projects that you're talking about?
Not on any of these in particular, and I'd have to go back and check the records, but it's my understanding there haven't been a lot of clean and leans over the last few years. It is authorized within the town code. We would like to look forward to, possibly using that methodology. We'll be working again with the attorney on where it's appropriate to do that or what other steps to take on those, at least on those 14 that are moving forward to the attorney's office. Usually, if it's a simple process, and what we're running into, of course, those are absentee owners for the most part. And so if it comes down to that, and it's just a property maintenance, general cleanup, they've been fairly inexpensive, $1,500 range or less, things of that nature. If necessary, we can find room in our budget to take care of those, but we'd much rather have them abated by the property owner.
Okay, and do you find habitual recurrences on these?
Not a lot, surprisingly. It's people, once we get their attention, they try to pay more, closer attention to it themselves. There are some that just can't get over hoarding or trashing or whatever it might be. And so, but once they abate once, we have to close the book, and 6 months later, if we have to open up a new case, that's kind of where we're at.
Okay. And with that segment 9303, is that something that, Cliff, you're looking at reissuing or reactivating the Clean and Lean program for debris and littering?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilwoman Hughes, I I don't have any particular cases that have come to my office yet, but yes, we do have the availability in the town code to pursue the nuisance abatement, which is basically the clean and lean. And I think as Larry was saying, I mean, our first option is to try and get private property compliance, so we're not expending town funds that we may not recover even if we lien the property. So we do have that option. It's a bit more of a process, due process rights and filing with the court, but I'm glad to do it, and we will follow up on the cases that Larry's team can't resolve.
And if I might, to add to, the word is out that we're, getting harsher on properties and trying to clean them up. I was contacted through the manager's office last week from the League of Cities. I've been asked to join a stakeholders group to write state legislation for the abandoned and vacant building program. There's also Superior's involved, and there'll be some other communities around the state. So I think communities as a whole around Arizona are paying closer attention than they ever have before, especially the rural communities on these issues.
Thank you very much. Oh, sorry.
Larry, I have one. Mine's probably going to be easy. I just was wondering if we have an anticipated groundbreaking for Wade Journey Homes.
They're actually already under construction, some of them.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah. They're only doing, they've just picked up the 31 lots, excuse me,
Yes.
Councilmember Cordes. They picked up the 31 remaining lots over in Villa Adelaida, if I pronounce that right, over north of Butte between, or over, in the vicinity of Mulberry and 13th Street up in there. But it started out with J. Carl Homes. J. Carl Homes came in and did all the paperwork and everything, and at the last minute backed out, sold their holdings to Wade Journey Homes. They have picked it up, and they just went immediately into some plan review modifications, and they're pulling building permits.
Awesome.
Would you like a
Yes, please.
groundbreaking?
Do we know
or
what
something?
their price point is?
They're going to be an entry-level home.
So are we saying under 200 or?
That's what we understand at this point, yes.
Okay. And then I have one question, but I'm not for Larry. It's for Brian. Oh,
I have a question for Brian, too.
Perfect. Councilwoman Larson also has a question for Brian as well. So, my question is for the powwow.
Yes.
Brent said that you were having a hard time getting volunteers. So beyond right here, how are we trying to get volunteers? Have you went to the 5 parks? Have you went out there to try to recruit?
I believe the volunteer recruitment so far that John Nixon has been doing has been through our email blasts, and I don't know, I believe he might have done a news release to the paper, but I don't think he's visited any sites yet.
I would just suggest that if you go out to the 5 parks for one of their meetings, Mondays at 9 and Saturdays at 8, that community, as well as the Anthem active adult community, they are always looking for things to do, but what I have found is that you kind of have to go to them and let them know what's going on, and I bet your volunteer spots will fill up really fast.
And Mosaic Church did say that they would help, so if you reach out to them, I'll give you Carla's number. You'll have more volunteers than you'll know what to do with.
I think we will have enough. I'm not too worried at this point.
My question is along the same lines. So I looked online for your phone number, and I found 3 different ones. So point me which direction, 7582, 7589, or 7587. Which number should they call?
They should call, our general line is 7589, and just say that they're interested in volunteering for powwow.
Okay, so just audibly what that is 520-868-7589.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you very much. Our next is the call to the public. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak at this time? And closing call to the public. Call to the council for current events only. Councilmember Hawkins.
I have nothing this evening.
Councilmember Hughes?
I'm good.
Councilmember Larson?
I just wanted to point out that a great community event is on October 11th. There's the FHS Homecoming Parade that will be on Main Street at 1 p.m. As well as, I know I'm personally excited for Fright Fest, so I'm counting down the days till October 31st. It's one of my favorite things. So I'm looking forward to everybody getting their costumes ready and seeing you guys down there. That's it.
Councilmember Cortez?
So yes, I was going to do as Councilwoman Larson did and just remind everybody that this is homecoming week for Florence High School, and their parade is at 1 o'clock on Friday. So that's going to be exciting, and I hope to see everybody at the football game as well and show our Florence pride as we hopefully come away with a win. I attended the open house at the fire department. That was a great event. I took my 14-year-old and his two friends, and I thought, I'm going to just drag them along. But they had so much fun, and they learned a lot. And I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised because I thought maybe it was going to be more for the younger kids. But they still were very excited to see the equipment and talk to the officers. So it was a great event. I applaud you on that, especially watching the extraction and the car thing. That was exciting. So they really enjoyed that. That was a great event. And then I also just wanted to welcome D.R. Horton to our community. They have opened their model homes. I toured them a week ago, and they didn't even have furniture in the model, so it kind of looked like somebody was trying to move in. They were still changing lights, and there was contractors in there trying to do some work, but they have a great product, a great complement to our Pulte Homes and Anthem, so I'm really excited, and they're at a great price point that will be great for, I think, our officers who are looking for a home in Anthem, for our correctional officers who are looking for a home in Anthem, and in Florence, along with our new builder, Wade Journey. I think we are definitely stepping in the right direction to make it affordable and to bring some housing that everybody would like to move into. So I'm just excited about the direction that we're going in. Thanks.
Perfect. Vice Mayor Anderson?
Oh, I have a list of stuff since we've had, 3 weeks since our last meeting. I went to the Florence Village 2 weeks ago on the Tohono O'odham Nation site and heard the Chicken Scratch Band, the Southern Scratch. Now, if you haven't been to the Chicken Scratch Festival, you need to go because my wife and I were quite surprised. We didn't know what to expect, but it was good music, and there was people. Of course, those people out there are also friendly, and they were so welcoming. It was fun being there. I also attended the fire department open house, and those people put on a great show. I also want to recognize the police department because they were there showing off their equipment and blowing their siren and having a good time. The other thing that we did, we had the Florence Hospital reopening on the 26th. Attended the Pinnell Partnership meeting with Councilmember Hughes. It was primarily about the old county manager, Greg Stanley, going out and Louis Anderson, the new county manager, coming in. And it was sort of a fun meeting because they gave background on each other and also did a little roasting while they were doing it. What's that?
That was me, not you.
You went to it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. That was a long time ago. Judy was supposed to go. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Judy was out of town. The other thing, just as a did you know, I did have a complaint about people, or at least one of our town residents sleeping on the benches downtown. And I've asked our town clerk to look into it, and we're trying to find a way to resolve that and to have a way to take care of that person. I also want to thank Parks and Rec. We've been working with one of our local musicians to come up with a music festival, and they figured out a way to include that into an event that we're going to have downtown, and we'll probably hear more about that later on. The other thing that I am requesting support tonight from the other town council members to have the town clerk draft the proper document that would require future new hires of department heads to be required to live within the town limits of Florence. This also would include covering a certain part of the moving cost, also allowances for a time to be set for how long they have to get moved into town, and other particulars that would be necessary for this type of a policy. And I'd like to see this requirement put in effect on the current job openings. Can I get a support from another council member?
I give you support.
Yeah. Thank you.
I do as well.
Thank you.
Is that all you have?
That's all I have. Thank you, ma'am.
So I'm going to piggyback off of what you said, but then I have some other things that I just wanted to say, but I figure in going with the flow. So I understand where you're coming from, but I've also seen firsthand a lot of talent that has come from surrounding communities that have benefited our town in regards to knowledge, leadership, connectedness within the community. So I'd like us to, think carefully about that in regards to like across the board department heads. I could see, for example, maybe if somebody relocated, going with those relocation support, or even our employees, department heads that do live within our municipal boundaries, having some sort of differential, is what I'll call it, for a lack of a better word, for being so close. But that's not for discussion here, but I'd like that added with the conversation if that does move forward.
Well, I'd like to agree. I agree with most of what you said. Yeah, I think we're really limiting ourselves. Nowadays, there's a lot of people that commute, I'd say, Jesus, Maricopa, it's probably 85% commute. Casa Grande, I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a lot there too. But I'm just saying, we don't want to limit ourselves, because if we limit ourselves, we're not going to maybe pick up the talent we've got. It's like Scott, one of the best HR guys I think we could have ever gotten. He's had a great track record his whole career. And to require, if we would have required him to live here, I don't believe we would have probably been lucky enough to have recruited him. And I just think we need to be careful on that.
Shouldn't we save
All
this
I have to say
for the
right now.
agendized item?
This is the first I've heard of it,
Oh.
so this is new to me on this subject.
Perfect. I was letting him speak just because he didn't have an opportunity earlier. And so anyhow, if you could add that, that would be appreciated. For a call to the council, I did have a few things that I just wanted to bring up. First, Councilmember Larson is stepping down from the Police and Fire Retirement Board. At this time, in her place, I am going to appoint Councilmember Cortez. And their first meeting is tomorrow, and I'll make sure we've spoken already. Don't be surprised.
It's just a scheduling conflict is what it comes down to.
Yes. So I told you that I would forward you that invite, and I'll make sure that it's in your inbox. We have had so much going on over the past 3 weeks. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to all of our department heads, all of our town manager, our council, for participating in our first State of the Town this past Wednesday. We have a lot that we've accomplished over the past year, and we have a lot to look forward to. Going through the process of preparing for the event in and of itself, I actually learned a lot, even as mayor, that just looking at the numbers, I said, wow, we're doing fabulous, not only to see all of the accolades listed of our rankings, but also to see, it was either 996 or 969 business licenses that were issued, over 50 single-family building permits that were issued for homes. As we know, our homes are our economic driver that will help bring business into the community. So I want to say thank you to everybody who participated, who helped me especially be prepared and ready for the event, because I was a little nervous, to be very honest with you, because to take a look at everything over the past year that has happened and to put it into an hour presentation, I really didn't want to leave anybody out or any accomplishments out, because we do have a lot to be proud of. And it's not just day-to-day operations, it's long-term vision items that have come to life. So my other is tomorrow I am going to be participating. There's a Council on Foreign Relations, and this ties in with an independent task force on the future of United States workforce. It's a call-in conference, and Ms. Lisa Garcia and myself are going to be calling into that conference in the afternoon. So we will look forward to bringing that information back. We do have an executive session on our agenda this evening. So if there is no further comments, with that, we need a motion.
A motion that we adjourn to executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.